everybody. Welcome to our AMA today. My name is Jenny, Jenny Olander. I'm the community manager for Progressive Victory. To my right over here is Navia, our you're state lead now, yeah?
I am the sole state lead currently, yes.
You're currently the sole state lead of California for Progressive Victory. That's incredible. And below us down here, down this way, sorry, it's mirrored for me. The esteemed guest of the hour, Saikat Chakrabarti. I got that right?
You got it perfectly right. I'm impressed.
Excellent.
We went over it beforehand too. I was like, you have to say his name right. You have to.
It's okay. I wouldn't take offense to you.
All right. Nice to meet you, Saikat. I've heard a lot about you. But would you like to tell the audience who you are and what you're doing? What are you running for? What you're gonna do?
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And we've had a lot of volunteers from Progressive Victory out of the campaign, so I'm glad to meet the rest of the community. So I'm Saikat Chakrabarti. I'm running for Congress to represent California's 11th district, which is basically San Francisco. It's the seat that Nancy Pelosi has right now, but she said she's no longer running for re-election next term. And just to give a bit of background on me, I moved out here in 2009 when I was 23. I've been involved in sort of nonprofits. I actually worked in the tech industry when I first came out here for a few years as part of that wave that really felt like I was maybe going to be solving some of the big problems facing society through tech. And this was in the era of, Muhammad Yunus using microfinance loans to lift people up from poverty in Bangladesh and all that. And after living in San Francisco for a few years, working in tech, seeing sort of the effects of inequality and the cost of living crisis all around me, I thought maybe I'm not actually working on the big problems facing society, and I quit. And it's like really kind of cheesy to say this today, but I literally wrote a list. I was like, I want to work on poverty, inequality, and climate change. And at the time, the only person I heard talking about that stuff in any sort of meaningful way was Bernie Sanders. And I wasn't political at all, but I wanted to see what that was all about. So I joined his campaign in 2016, ended up being the director of organizing technology, which is a fancy word for just saying I was trying to build tech tools to help the organizers who are organizing all the millions of volunteers around the country. That was an incredible experience. That's really what got me politically radicalized, because it felt so empowering. And I know that's a lot of what you all are trying to do right now with
we have an entire tech department working overtime right now.
Yeah. And long story short, there's a group of us from that campaign who realized that even if Bernie won, he wouldn't be able to do the political revolution without a Congress to back him. So we started this group. It was initially called Brand New Congress and eventually turned into Justice Democrats. And we were trying to recruit people to run all around the country. Our initial goal was to recruit like 400 people and, take over Congress and actually make the Bernie agenda happen. We didn't quite get there. We recruited about 15 people, but we had good quality. A couple of folks we recruited that first cycle. One was Cori Bush and one was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And then when it kind of became clear that maybe all of our candidates were going to lose because we weren't able to raise the money we needed, I ended up, we threw a Hail Mary. I moved to New York, ran AOC's race. And when she won, I ended up going to DC with her as her chief of staff. And I was put in charge of writing and launching the Green New Deal. And I've really spent the last 5 years at a think tank, New Consensus, sort of working on a sequel to that, like a Green New Deal with all the details filled in. How do we actually build a clean economy that works for everybody, starting on day one, kind of our version of a Project 2025. And so the reason I'm running right now is, twofold. Like, one, saw Trump come back into office. I saw the Democrats' response to it. And it's just clear to me they're not taking this moment seriously. They have no idea what to do about the authoritarianism and the coup that we're in the middle of right now. But beyond that, I don't think Democrats have an idea of what the real vision should be to oppose MAGA. And that's what I've been working on. I think we need something way more expansive to actually solve a lot of these problems like healthcare, childcare, education, the cost of living crisis than anything the Democrats are offering. And I think it's going to take a movement of leaders. And that's why I'm so excited about what you all are doing, because it can't be just me. I think it's going to take, dozens, not hundreds of people go into Congress who aren't bought out by corporate money, who are committed to working together to actually pass that agenda. So, I've been clear, I'm going to fight not just Republicans, but also the Democratic Party establishment that's standing in the way. I think people like Hakeem Jeffries need to be primaried because I do think they're standing in the way of progress right now. And I think it's gonna be a fight, but I also think this moment has a lot of possibility. I think the political chaos we're in, it means things can go really bad, but it also means things could go really well, and the whole thing could change. So that's what excites me.
Hell yeah. God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for
That's
like the
awesome.
next wave of like of the next wave of
Seriously.
progressives, the next wave of people to like push out the old leadership of the Democratic Party who have been ineffectual and not haven't really done anything. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that change. I'm excited to help make that change. But for now, we have questions.
Great.
You will be
Many.
you are we are an anvil upon which we will put questions and we Forge Master make answers out of them.
You got
Okay,
there.
I would like to invoke my host privileges for a moment and give the first question. I'm so selfish. I'm the most meanest person in PV. Um, if I have, so I would generally wouldn't consider myself to be a single issue voter. I care about a broad range of topics, but if of the broad range of topics, if there is a topic that I care about the most out of all of them, it is urbanism and public transit specifically. I live currently in the Midwest. I live in the second biggest city of Nebraska, where the public transit isn't. It makes me sad. Um, with all that in mind, I've heard a lot about like public transit improvements in California, and my question to you is: high speed rail real?
It should be. And, one of the things I talk a lot about in this campaign is how there's this other, if we actually are serious about building things like high speed rail, building infrastructure, building public transit, building clean industries, right, to actually tackle climate change, the way to do it, the way of governance to do it is completely different from how we operate today. And this has been really like the focus of a lot of my study and work at the think tank. And I'm just going to take, the way California's done high speed rail versus say how France has done it with TGV, which is their high speed rail network that they built out in the 70s. If you look at how France did it, it was it was in the context of this larger economic transformation that are going on. Charles de Gaulle was president, and they really put the country on this mission to like build up wealth, build up infrastructure, and they were in this mode of governing that I call it mission mode. And mission mode is really different because it's like you have this leadership that really sets the country on a mission and makes civil society participate in that mission, and you make comprehensive plans. So if you look at TGV, the way they did it is they planned out not just their rail but also their education system to make sure they're training enough engineers and all the folks who need to work on that train system. They're planning out their power grid at the same time. So they're building out, all their nuclear power plants at the time to make sure they had the power for that. And they're using that project of building our rail to build up state capacity so that they started with one line, but they pitched an entire plan for the country. So that gave them the capacity to build out all the industries that are necessary to build out that system, and then once they, built that first line, which was slower than the rest, they had the ability to rapidly build out the rest. And the
Mhm.
third piece that's different when countries do things in mission mode like that is they have institutions to finance and coordinate those missions. France had a bunch of public banks and nonprofit banks that that they used during that time. In America, we used to have institutions like this. The biggest by far was called the Reconstruction Finance Corporation. We had that during the New Deal, World War II mobilization era, but we dismantled all of ours. We have nothing like that. Now, if you compare that to California high speed rail, sorry, I'm giving a very long answer to just high speed
No,
rail,
it's
but this
okay.
is something I
I
care a lot
realized
about.
that the refinancing bureau that you just mentioned,
Yeah.
that is the first I've heard of it, which is
Yeah.
probably a problem.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me because we often talk about how this whole mode of governing that I'm talking about, it's something that was very common. America, in a lot of ways, created this style of governance. We used to call it the American system. In every nation that developed, like I'm talking about all of the European countries that got rich after the post-war era, all the Asian countries, Nordic countries, they all basically use that playbook that we developed. But in America, we've forgotten it. Like we cut off all those parts of our government that we used to have. We've, gone to this mindset where like the country should have never determined where the economy goes. It's like the tail wags the dog. These corporations should just determine where the economy goes, and profit's the only incentive. And but just to get back to high speed rail, like the way we did high speed rail in California was, first off, we didn't use it as a way to as like kind of as project to figure out all the barriers to building something like this. And we consulted the whole thing out. We didn't use it as a way to build up state capacity. And that was a huge mistake. So as we start, we kind of did the project one day at a time instead of making this actual plan of where do we go and using
Mhm.
that plan as a way to clear out bottlenecks in the way. We just keep running into new bottlenecks. And so yeah, I think it's in currently in a state where it's a bit of a morass. However, I do think a lot of I've talked to folks who are working on high speed rail now. They've made the realization that they made those mistakes. They're trying to use it now to bring a lot of the expertise in house. And I think it's like a proving project. Like we have to be able to do it to prove we can do anything. And if there's
No
any
matter
bit of
what
hope I
Elon
have,
Musk says.
no matter what Elon Musk says, and like if there's any bit of optimism I can give on this, I remember, I had a flight through Shanghai back in, I think, 2012, I wanna say, that where I had a layover, and it was around the same time that, Shanghai China had just built its first mile of high-speed rail, which was from the Shanghai airport to the city center, and at the time, everyone in the Western media was making fun of it because it was the most expensive, uh, rail project in the world
It
per,
was the first
when you
one.
look at the cost per mile. But China's response to that was like, we're just gonna keep going, right? You use that project, you learn, and then now they build high speed rail faster and cheaper than anyone else in the world. And I think that's what we have to do. All too often in America, we do these projects where they're over budget, they're too slow, and everyone's like, well, that's I guess let's give up. Let's not try that again. And that's the exact opposite. We need to be doing the other way around. Like use this project as a way to learn and then go faster, cheaper, more.
Yeah, and historically, lots of projects like this were historically maligned during their construction. People joked about how long they were taking to finish, but they finished anyways, and now they are incredible improvements. To some of the few improvements that we've ever made. To our system.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you for the answer. That was very insightful. I like that a lot. Um, Whoa, sorry, I just got a massive ping in chat. um, so
Nice.
we're gonna be doing this a little bit different than we usually do because the California team is so big. We tried to get a couple of California people some dedicated questions, and Navia, I believe, is going to be taking a hold of that for now.
Yes.
So some California questions, Navia. I'll let you go.
Hi. So, hi. Good to see you now again. Saikat, I didn't catch you at the party yesterday, but I did see you on your way out. So, it's nice to see you again. We've talked a couple of times before. So I've got a couple of questions for myself. One of which I've actually asked you before. So I'll actually
Yep.
lead with that one. I asked you this question back during the campaign kickoff party or campaign kickoff rally, which was how I'm Indian American, you're Indian American. Our parents both came to this country on with very little money, and that's affected my politics in a lot of ways, and it's affected yours in a lot of ways. Could you maybe expound upon how being an Indian American growing up in the U.S. maybe has affected the way that you do politics?
Yeah, I think a lot of my politics when I think about it, and it's sort of funny when you run for office, you often get asked like why you hold the views you hold, and it's sort of like therapy. Like I've gone back and like, why do I think these things, right? But when I
Totally.
think on it, like a lot of it is honestly stories from my dad, and I talked about this a bit at the event that you're at, Navia. But my dad grew up in India in poverty. Like he was a victim of partition, which was this event where they split up the country along religious lines, and so his family had to flee overnight. They crossed over from East Pakistan to India, and his family of 12, they grew up in like a one-bedroom apartment, often having no idea where their next meal would come from. And he's really struggled, right? And that was, in my view, kind of this it was a very clear sign of like complete political failure, like this catastrophic political decision that ruined tens of millions of lives. It killed about a million people. And my dad was a victim of that. But then on the other hand, the way my dad managed to come to this country, which was sort of a lottery ticket for him because a lot of his friends and family didn't manage to make it out here, and they struggled for much longer. But it was in the context of America in the 60s and 70s, which was at that time this growing, expansive country. And of course, it wasn't utopia, but we had this mindset where things were getting better. And so the result of that was we were growing as a nation. We're trying to include more and more people. I don't think it's like a coincidence that during this era of economic growth, we also had the civil rights movement, the disability rights movement, all, the women's rights movement, the gay rights movement, right? Like all these
Yeah,
movements
yeah,
that were
seriously.
happening at that time. And uh, and so uh, just to tell the story of my dad, the way he came here was a friend of his took him to an American immigration office. It was like a government run office in Calcutta. We used to have, thousands of these around the world, where this like staffer pitched him on the American dream to try to convince him to come, and got him to apply for a visa right there on the spot. And so his story kind of both, I think, to me, like embodies this dualism of how you can have these catastrophic political decisions that destroy lives, but you can also make these political decisions that create a whole different future. And that's kind of where I think we are right now. I think we're in this crossroads in the country's future where we can decide to go into this new like MAGA era that I think will be catastrophic. And it really mirrors in a lot of ways the politics of that post Indian Revolution partition era. Because something I didn't say, like a lot of what I hear right now around returning to an ethno state, this part of MAGA that wants us to become just like a white Christian national state. You see the same sort of rhetoric out in Europe, in a lot of countries. That's exactly what was going on in the post-war era in Europe, and that's what resulted in partition. That resulted in like the displacement of millions of Germans during that time, the creation of all these ethno states in Europe. It resulted in Israel, right? Like that. These were that was a movement back then that I see coming back, and that's going to be catastrophic. And I think the only way to defeat that movement is a different movement that is affirmatively inclusive, affirmatively pluralistic, affirmatively diverse, and uses that, tries to show that that is the way to true economic prosperity for everybody involved. And that's the movement I want to be a part of. It's what I want to try to, bring into being.
I really appreciate that. That's yeah, I really empathize with the when you mentioned of political decisions that ruin lives. I mean, it's very easy to just ruin a life with a snap of a finger, and it's just as easy to, uh, make a life really. Um, so I really appreciate your perspective on that. I've got one more question from
You could
myself.
say that you could ruin lives with a snap of a finger by cutting SNAP benefits.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
it's
You could do that.
I'm full of jokes today.
I know.
Yeah.
That's yeah, it's a bit of a dire joke, but yeah, good
Ugh,
one.
yeah. Well, we like those around here. So one last question from me, then we'll go over to the rest of the California team. You've mentioned a lot that you were initially radicalized by the fortune that you earned from being this, I believe it was the second engineer at Stripe,
Yeah.
and how that was a radicalizing moment for you. Can you maybe, and all of us, I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we all had moments that radicalized us into, our current political positions. Can you maybe tell us more about that particular moment of yours that radicalized you, earning this much money just out of nowhere, really?
Yeah, I told my dad's story a bit, and just to give some context on how I grew up, I grew up, I'd say, solidly middle class. Money was tight, but had a great public school education. Had a roof over my head. Certainly did not struggle the way my dad did. But I didn't come from money. Like I grew up, I'd say, normal, whatever that means in that sense. But I came out, I worked in tech, and I got this job at Stripe as a second engineer there. And I worked hard, but I didn't work harder than like a teacher or a nurse or the people cleaning our offices did every single day. And I just won the startup lottery. And that to me was this really radicalizing experience, because it's crazy to me that we have this economy where you can work hard for a couple years and suddenly have it all, while people who are working extremely hard every day to run our society. I mean, I just talked to a bunch of teachers right now that are about to maybe go on strike in this district because they can't afford to live in the city. Folks like that are going to struggle their whole lives and never afford a home in San Francisco, never afford a secure retirement. And to me, this is beyond just a question of fairness. It's in fact a question of, and it's an existential crisis to this country. Because I think if we can't have an economy where you put in an honest, 40 hours of work a week and make a living and you can afford like a decent life, that to me is going to lead to the destruction of everything. So that's I think I came at it from a point of just felt so extremely unfair, and that's why I went and worked on the Bernie campaign, because it felt like he was actually talking about that specific problem in our economy. But I've since come to really see it as the problem of our time. It's like the problem of our era to be able to solve.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to read off, or rather, we'll have a few people ask some questions from the California team. You've met a couple of these folks. A couple of them you haven't, because they're in other areas from California. This first one is from our main research lead, Ruben, who is in SoCal, and this is going to he has to leave a little early here, so this is going to be a little bit of a different uh, style of question than the ones that we've been used to. He's a very specific one. So we have reports of specifically the Congressional Progressive Caucus giving Congresswoman Maria Glucecan Perez the, as he says, bombastic side eye for pushing for a congressional resolution that condemns current Chicagoland Congressman Chuy Garcia, his actions of having his chief of staff run for his seat. But it was done in a way that she deemed unethical. For those unfamiliar, Chuy Garcia said that he is not running for re-election, and he endorsed his chief of staff to run for his seat, but it was done very, very late in the period for which you were able to file to run. There was a vote on the resolution. If you were in Congress right now, how would you vote for this resolution, and what are your thoughts on the topic in general?
Yeah, I think what he did was wrong. I'd vote in whatever way on the resolution that would say that whatever he did was wrong. Um, I think like there's this thing that happens in politics where becomes this team sport, and people in the Progressive Caucus are Chuy Garcia is a member of the Progressive Caucus, so they're sort of like backing their own side. My view on it is we need to be better as a party and as progressives to just call balls and strikes, and just say this is wrong, this is right. And I, in fact, think that's the only way we're ever going to get faith back into our institutions. So that means when the Epstein files come out, if there's Republicans on there, they're going to jail. If there's Democrats on there, they're going to jail, right? That means when we ban congressional stock trading, if there's Republicans being corrupt, they're going to face the consequences. If there's Democrats being corrupt, they face the consequences. I think you have to do that kind of politics if you want to get everybody back on board with having faith in our institutions. And funny thing about the Chuy Garcia thing is that's actually the exact kind of maneuver that Joe Crowley's predecessor. Joe Crowley was the guy AOC beat to Congress. His predecessor used to get him into power. So Joe Crowley had never actually run a congressional campaign. So I do have a particular annoyance with that sort of politicking.
That's nice. I like that. Okay, so next couple of questions will be from Zach. He is the other Bay Area region lead. You met him, and so I think we're going to be able to bring him up.
I'm pulling him up now. Get on up here, Solaris, if that even is your real name.
All right, I got two things. I got two things here. I'm putting on my Mehdi Hassan costume here. It's pretty awesome. Okay. Before I get into this, I just want to get this out of the way because this is pretty funny. I was at the party. Someone at the front was like getting ready to like do some like Frank Sinatra karaoke or something, and like I swear to God, Saikat, you just like materialized next to me. Like, have we met before? And I was like, I turned to him. I'm like, no, but you probably met Navia with Progressive Victory. Maybe like 2 or 3 words into that. I'm like, huh? And then like the even funnier part that made that like even more awkward in retrospect is like Navia then called me like a couple of seconds later. So I'm like, oh, she's calling me. Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to her. And then, like that was like,
oh my God, did I interrupt you talking to him?
Yeah, that's cool. Don't worry about it. Hey, just come back. I'm at the office. Like, I'm chill. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it was just like really cool because like you'd expect like what is it you have a bit of like you've been behind the scenes a lot of the stuff, but you have a bit of clout behind you. Like you've worked under AOC, you were with the Justice Dems. You'd expect someone with like your kind of prestige to be a little more elusive or at least have like a little bit more of an eye for theatrics. But nope, you're just there.
That's gotta be me.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. I got 2 big ones here. Let me pull them up. Okay, so first off, let's talk about Lurie for a second. Mayor Daniel Lurie.
Mayor of San Francisco.
If you look at what he's been elected on, his platform, like a kind of like a bit of like a law and order kind of thing, dealing with the homeless. He's also been like defunding Muni, a lot of public transit stuff. To someone not that familiar with what's been happening in San Francisco the past few years, he comes off as like shockingly moderate for the kind of city you'd expect SF to be. His board has gotten a lot more moderate. I think like the progressive faction has lost their majority for the first time in like a decade. You take into account like London Breed and her very public like
Former
fallout
SF
with
mayor.
like progressive darling Chesa Boudin, who like the former DA who ended up getting recalled. Having all this in mind, someone with a more cynic disposition might read this as SF heading in the wrong direction politically. Now, you're here, you come out on the scene, you're on a server called Progressive Victory. You're out here like aura farming with Mehdi Hassan, publicly calling for Schumer and Jeffries to be primaried. Relative to the rest of the party, you're a pretty sharp progressive coming in a moment where, to be like, if we want to be a little cynical about it for the sake of this question, San Franciscans might have soured on that word a little. Is that something you're concerned about at all? And to whatever extent you are, what do you think your path is going to be through that?
I actually don't think the San Franciscans have soured on the word, in the sense that if you ask San Franciscans, are you progressive? Everyone says they're progressive. I mean, like even like my main opponent in this race, Scott Wiener, who's considered a moderate, everyone thinks he's a progressive. It's just like progressive doesn't mean anything in particular in San Francisco, because to most people it just means like, you're not Donald Trump, you're for things like gay rights and trans rights, which most folks here, are. I mean, most folks don't always act that way, but they say they are. Um, but when it comes to Lurie and to kind of the progressive faction and the moderate faction in San Francisco, I think it's really like Lurie was a result of government dysfunction, of like San Francisco as a government not being able to deliver on real issues that are cropping up, especially around like all the unhoused folks that we see on the streets. Like we haven't actually been able to solve that in a systemic way. And I think Lurie just came in as the outsider and he won on that. Now, I think Lurie is sort of pushing the problem around, right? Like he's doing tent like encampment sweeps, but that doesn't mean the people who are living in those tents go away, So now I'm seeing there's still homeless people on the streets. They're just not in tents and they're just being pushed around from one neighborhood to another. So I think he's going to have the same issue in 4 years if he's not able to fix, at a structural level, the problems causing sort of the homelessness and the street conditions that people are facing, right? And I think he's done a good job in terms of like at least making a show of his effort, and I do actually think he's trying. Like I see him on the streets all the time. I think he's making an effort. He and I don't agree politically, but I think just having a mayor who seems like he cares has been like a difference compared to someone like London Breed. But I, if I have advice from him, I think like you've got to make government function. And this is like the same advice I would have for someone like Zoran, right? And I think he's taking it seriously. Someone like Katie Wilson in Seattle. At the end of the day, I think to prove
We
that the
like both of
progressive
them.
model works, yeah, if you want to prove the progressive model works, you have to actually deliver on those progressive promises and create a functional government, especially at a city level. Um, but yeah, I think like in SF, it's much less about progressive versus moderate and much more about kind of change versus status quo, where like, are you actually gonna get things working versus not?
Okay. Awesome. You mentioned Mamdani for a second here. I wanted to move to him for a second.
Yeah.
We watched that whole like 6 month stretch or 5 months, whatever, from the primary where he whooped Cuomo and the general where he whooped Cuomo again, and watching the party leadership nationally be like very weirdly silent. Like it's pretty clear like they kind of had their fingers crossed that Mamdani wasn't going to take that. And so his victory is almost kind of an open defiance of that. So it's a bit interesting to see him like turn around and almost kind of truce with Jeffries. What seems like what was it with Chiose going to primary challenge him
Yeah.
in 2026, and Mamdani went to the DSA and advocated and like ultimately succeeded in getting the New York DSA not to endorse his run, and then Chiose eventually dropped out and all that. There's obviously he obviously had a reason for doing this, but absent of knowing that, do you think that was the right call?
You know, um, personally, I would have loved Chiose to run that race. I think he still should have, even though he didn't get the DSA endorsement, because I've run a race in New York. I think it's possible to win races in New York by just running up the numbers on field by creating excitement. And Chi totally could have done that. And also just out of self-interest, like if I'm going to Congress, I don't want Hakeem Jeffries there. I would have loved to have worked with Chi. But I think there's two theories of power here, and I'm not going to tell Zoran how to do his job. Like, he knows way more than me what he's up against, running, trying to actually run that city. Um, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I want him to try. Like, I want to support him no matter what he does because it's so important that he succeeds. I worry that he's thinking that by appeasing folks like Hakeem and appeasing sort of this faction, that I got to be real. Like, my experience with that faction is they don't care about anything other than beating progressives, and they will not actually move. So I have a worry that he's thinking that by appeasing them, they won't come after him. They won't actually make his life harder. I personally think it's better to scare them into supporting you rather than try to convince them to support you. But I don't know. I don't know all the dynamics of what's going on in New York. He's the expert on that. And for now, I certainly trust him to like be trying to do what he can to actually govern well.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely super hairy, and like I honestly like haven't made up my mind 100% one way or the other either.
Yeah, me neither.
We have our next question lined up. Is Junior gonna come up?
Yes. Hey, is Junior Meat on here? He said he wasn't sure if he was able to come up. See,
Right.
doesn't seem like he is. So Solaris, you can go ahead and read his question if you want to.
Oh, so
Let me
the
pull it up
Solaris
here.
Threefer? You're kidding me!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay,
That's
okay.
crazy.
Oh, Junior's in chat. He's
I
here.
would-
Hold on,
okay,
hold on,
okay,
hold
I
on.
would-
Junior's in
oh,
chat.
okay,
Hold
sick.
on, hold on.
Are you able to come up, Junior? He's our newest
Okay,
Central
I'll
Valley
step down
lead.
for a second then.
All
I
right.
guess he is.
Banishment.
The
All
Lord
right,
with you.
Junior, bringing you up. And all the California teams, all the blue names.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
go ahead.
you've
Hello,
got-
go ahead and introduce yourself.
You got a
Great,
hilarious
wonderful. Thanks for
avatar.
taking my question. Thanks. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks for taking my question and thanks for your time and everybody. I appreciate it. This is off topic from what we have been talking about, but I kind of want to address AI and AI in retail specifically, and just going a bit deeper, AI in grocery retail. So, we have this thing of dynamically set pricing, right? And it's based on the user's, data profile, and the idea is, of course, to get them to or to predict what they are most likely to want or to need, and then adjust the price in real time based on that. So it's a very opaque and kind of consumer hostile method of pricing that creates just a huge power imbalance between the business and or businesses and consumers. And you can, yeah, I think everybody could easily see how exploitative this could become, right? Especially when you're preying on people's needs and pricing them, almost pricing them out of being able to obtain that item that they absolutely need. So um, I am going to get to my question here, but so far only one Democrat, Senator Ruben Gallego, has introduced legislation to ban such pricing methods, and he doesn't have any co-sponsors, which I think is kind of sad, right? I was shocked to learn this. So how would you, assuming that you took on this issue, how would you craft your messaging and your policy to get to the public and get them to pay attention to such a like fundamental quote, kitchen table issue, and also bring other legislators on board so you could have co-sponsors and you could kind of generate the momentum that I think would be fairly easy to generate as long as you just kind of raise the issue, make people aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, it should absolutely be banned, and it's kind of, I think, it's part of this issue in general of like companies price gouging sometimes through these algorithmic methods where they're just hoovering up all of our personal information and they're creating these models of who we are, and then using that to target us with ads and now target us with differential pricing, but also just like monopolistic practices, right, where there is collusion and price gouging going on in these highly consolidated industries that are driving up grocery prices. And I think we kind of tie them all into one, is my view. Like, I think we just need a general stance on we got to get grocery prices down. And here are all the ways that companies are screwing you right now. Right. And that I'm going to fight all of them. But the other angle to take on this is, I'm a big fan of individuals being in charge of their own personal data and their own information. Like, I think we need, especially now with like AI systems collecting so much on us just through these models that train on the entire internet. I think we need laws in this country that give people kind of the right to forget, right? Which they have some versions of these in Europe. I actually don't know if the European ones apply to LLMs yet. But it's just, companies always whine and scream, and these are tech companies that they can't do it, it's too hard. I actually, worked in tech. I worked as a software engineer. You absolutely can. Like, there's no, if you have all the information to be able to create these advanced models to tell you, predict when you're going to have a child, which is like the kinds of things these advertisers do, right? You absolutely have all the information necessary to remove that person from your databases, and not get.
That's wait, but sorry to interrupt. That's a thing that they can just do.
Yeah, like you hear all this stuff where like people who, like people get pregnant and they'll start getting like ads for like baby formula before they've
Mhm.
told anybody that they're pregnant, right? Like, or it's just like these companies know so much about you. And so to me, like those two things kind of come to a head in this specific example of companies using all this information they know about you to also then gouge you on prices in this moment where affordability is the number one issue. So I think it's like a winning message. We need to have a message on how to get pricing down on housing, healthcare, childcare, education, and groceries. And this tackles exactly that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very
Right.
much.
Banishment to the audience.
Goodbye, meat.
Goodbye.
All right. Our meat is gone. We are not vegetarians.
No more junior meat. No more
Well,
meat at
I'm
all.
Jane, so the kind of thing really has changed for me. But anyways, our next question is from our lovely Central Valley lead, Miché. If we can bring him up.
Miché, you coming up? You coming up, Miché?
Miché, ¿dónde estás, Miché?
Yes? All right. Get
Bring
on
him
up here,
up.
Miché.
Also, Miché, your cat is healthy now, yes?
Yes, hello everyone. My cat Otto, he's living it up, dude. I think he's good. Hi, my name is Miché. Like they said, I am the one of the co-leads for Central Valley here in California. I'm from the lovely streets of Bakersfield, representing. So my question for you, Saikat, is in terms of housing, I know that we have a lot of corporate control over housing units and how cities use their land. One of the interesting things happening in San Francisco right now that is super like helpful, I think, and just inspiring to me is the Marina Safeway project
Yeah.
that is seemingly more and more controversial. Here in Bakersfield, a lot of our commercial development is just like that Safeway. And so it's exciting for me to think that like we could have those types of development around the country. I'm wondering if there's anything that you might be able to do in Congress to incentivize developments like that.
Yeah,
Quickly, sorry for context for people, the Marina Safeway is that there's a Safeway in the Marina that is currently, I believe, just not used at all, and it's going to be converted to how many story building was it?
like a 25-story building. Yeah.
25-story
Enough.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been
Yeah.
it's been a
Wait,
pretty
Safeway building? Oh, is it like an office building?
it's deep it's
No,
deformed.
no. Yeah. Well, no, there's a Safeway there. It's just a Safeway.
Yes.
So
Okay.
and
Oh,
so
they're gonna
Oh, it's
rebuild
yeah.
something there. Okay.
They're gonna,
Okay.
yeah, so
Yes,
they're gonna
yes.
build a grocery
No,
store.
it's not- it's not
They're
rebuild
gonna
it,
build
right.
Twenty-five-story building and a
On top of the
Safeway?
store.
What?
It's the reason I was
25.
laughing is it's I mean, that project has polarized the entire city, and like I've been asked about it like 5 times, and it's amazing to me that you're in Bakersfield and you like heard
Yes,
about it.
seriously.
But yeah, like it's kind of wild to see. This is kind of, if someone was asking earlier about like the moderate and progressive factions in San Francisco, and this project has been one of those things that's really like split a lot of the factions, because in San Francisco, a lot of the factions kind of fight over land use stuff, and it tends to be I'd say moderates are generally, they say like they're EMBs, they're pro building housing, and they're for things like upzoning and cutting red tape on construction. And progressives will usually say like, we don't actually need more market rate development. What we need is more affordable housing development, and we should be fighting for more affordable units in every project. And the the project, which does have like more affordable units than any project has had in the city in about 15 years. Sorry, in that district in about 15
Mhm.
years.
Mhm.
Many of the moderates are not voting for it because it happens to be a very wealthy neighborhood. But also like, and some progressives are voting for it, but then some progressives aren't. So it's just all over the place. I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, like I think that's the kind of project we should be building. It's also in an existing wealthy neighborhood, so there's no risk of gentrification at all, of like amenity gentrification. And yeah, it's providing affordable housing. And the way, from Congress, the way I sort of see tackling the housing crisis is really it's kind of all the above. I really think we need to plan out housing like it's infrastructure. So the way we plan out
Mhm.
roads and highways, and we should actually have cities and states create, their housing plans of how many units of affordable housing and housing overall they're going to build to plan for the population they've got. And and for cities and states that make it easier to construct infill development like the Safeway project, we give them federal money to help them build those projects. The second piece is we have to actually finance these projects, because in San Francisco, we have a lot of projects that have been entitled. There's something like 70,000 units of housing here that have been entitled that are currently stuck in development hell. And the reason they're stuck in that is largely the cost of money is high right now, inflation is high, cost of materials are high. And so I call for, I earlier talked about that Reconstruction Finance Corporation. One of the things in my plan is to recreate that. And that would have the power to not just provide like low interest loans to construction to make projects like that get built, but also would have the power to do things like, buy lumber and steel when prices are low and sell when prices are high to try to keep inflation low in like the construction materials industry. The third piece is, I do think like when we're doing all this building, we also do need strong measures to make sure tenants don't get displaced. And so, I think we got to like allow renters to deduct their rent, like mortgage holders can right now, like homeowners can right now with their mortgage interest payments. And I think we got to expand rental assistance. There's a bunch of federal programs like that. But yeah, overall, I think it's an all of the above. I think the housing crisis is real. All too often you hear like this solution or that solution. We got to do both. That's basically the answer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're echoing a lot of my thoughts on the issue. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a really big fan, Saikat, and I'm excited to be here in PV and helping your campaign.
Thank you.
Very excited. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Lots of us are very excited for you. So thank you, Michelle. Okay, we've got our final question.
Banished to the hole.
Yes.
Join
Final
the
question.
audience from whence
Why are
you
you?
came.
Hey, Jenny, you can't be shooting my team members, okay? Like
I will shoot as I please.
look. I mean, she's
Discord is
incorrigible.
it's a gaming server, right?
It's
So
a
Yeah.
gaming.
that's
Yeah.
what you
channel.
gotta do.
Running up the score. All right,
need
we've got one more.
I need to get a squirt gun with the PV logo on it and just
Just get your entire room wet during every interview.
But I wouldn't fill it up with water. It just so that way I don't want to be pointing a real gun at people.
All right. Our last question is from our NorCal Mutual Aid co-lead, Ivy. We can go ahead and bring him on.
Ivy, where is Ivy? Where Ivy is? There's so many people. Oh, there you are. Okay, invite to speak. Come on up.
Perfected PC.
Howdy.
Hey.
Alrighty, so yeah, I'm the northern gal hailing from good old Reading, very red, unfortunately. Listen, so I've got a hardball question for you. Okay,
All right.
this is save the hardest for last. It's
Love it.
it's a real zinger. Favorite or your go-to sandwich order and your favorite sandwich shop in SF.
Oh man.
And while you're at it, your favorite pizza place in New York as well.
Yeah. This is useful for me because we'll be canvassing for you over there, so we want to know where the good places are.
Oh,
None of us
man.
knows that.
Yeah, I used to have. It's unfortunate. My favorite used to be a sandwich called Menage a Trois at Ike's Sandwiches, but Ike's has really fallen off. They got, and it's annoying. And someone else asked about grocery price setting, and Ike's fell off because I think they sold to private equity, and it's now like just crappy quality. So since then, I've tried to find new sandwich shops like that. There's a place called Golden Gate Deli up near the Presidio that, for some reason, I walked by it once, and they've got amazing sandwiches. I can't remember what my order there was though, but it was I like Dutch crunch, and then I like a lot of meat and a lot of sauce, and just like a big sloppy sandwich.
I think you're right. I think the Ike's fall off does need to be studied. I don't know what happened with them.
I know. They were the gold standard in the city for so long, and it's nothing. It's sad now.
And then
Well,
because you were
thank
running AOC's campaign in NYC, there's also requests for your favorite NYC pizza place.
I
Oh
made
my
the
God.
joke about that already. You can't take that.
No,
from me.
That's
no.
come on
But here's the
here,
thing: you made the
Frankie.
joke, and then Frankie actually suggested it.
All right, I got two answers because there's you got to have a favorite slice spot. My favorite slice spot, just because there was a place close to where I lived, was Bleecker Street Pizza. This is great, and my favorite overall pizza place at the time was probably Giuliana's. It's a spot in Brooklyn. What's that neighborhood? I think it was in Dumbo. But it's great pizza. There's a whole story to it, and like there's some pizza drama, pizza wars. I don't know. I can't remember the whole story now, but you should go check out Giuliana's.
Frankie's very
Awesome.
happy with that response. Our New
Yeah.
York person's very happy with that.
The one token New Yorker.
All right,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Well, if I was running in New York, I'd
Alrighty.
have your vote.
Yeah, well, hey, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
It's awesome.
Those were
to
the
be-
hardest
to be
questions.
hopping
I have
on.
a tough time answering favorites.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're spoiled for choice in the Bay Area, so in terms of food. So
Thank you
Yeah.
very much,
Yeah.
Ivy.
all
Ciao.
right. That is all of the questions from the CA team. I really appreciate you answering that. We were all very excited. We were all like, "Get your questions in now. This is the order we're gonna do it in." We were running around. We were all just running around. But I'm so glad that you were able to get that. Now, go ahead.
Now
Jen.
we're doing general audience questions, and the first one that we're gonna go to was submitted by Keikoa, or is that how I pronounce it? Or is it Keikoa or Kekoa? I don't know.
Keikoa is actually canvas for you.
Keikoa, yeah.
Oh, nice. right.
Keikoa, do you want to come up on stage? Do you want to come on stage, or do you want me to just read your question? Yes, presumably to the coming up on stage. All right. Come on up.
And these questions might be friendly, might be hostile. It's like you never know
Now,
what you're gonna get.
they
No
are
problem.
no longer curated. They're
there's
coming at you
no-
like nothing.
No such thing as
Okay,
hostile
hold on.
questions. Questions are questions.
Hold on a second. Okay, so I came across information. Wait, hold on. This is the wrong way to phrase this. Give me a second. Thinking.
Yeah,
Came
I was
across
like,
some
whoa.
information, puts fingers together, strokes the cat.
So
twirls
you
my
so
mustache.
okay, hold on. You previously worked under AOC as her chief of staff, a position that has a lot of interaction with, her.
Yeah.
So that means you two would have had you two had a relationship of sorts. So why has at this point she not mentioned you? I haven't seen anything of her officially mentioning you.
She
there a
doesn't
reason for that?
mention other people very much in general. But no, there's no. We left on really good terms. I still like text with her and stuff. But the main thing is, I think she's not sure what she's doing politically next, right? Like she might be running for Senate. She might be running for president. I don't know. And she's like, when you're in a position like AOC's, she's got the entire national spotlight on her. So anytime she mentions anybody or anything, everyone reads a million things into it. So she has to be careful. And so, her mentioning me would be, I think, seen very much as her stepping into this race and endorsing. So she's got to be careful. I understand. Like, I don't hold that against her. But yeah, of course, like I'd love to end up working with her on this race. That's something I'm working on.
That's a good answer, and I'm satisfied with that. I had a couple hard questions that I wanted to ask, but like they're from a
Sure.
really bad article. It was just sent to me by a good friend.
Oh,
So
those are my favorite
in that
ones.
case, I've actually
But I love dispelling
So
things that are wrong.
I got nothing else
But,
for you.
well, you can ask the hard questions from the bad article. I'm happy to answer them.
Most of the other stuff we were able to I showed you Nadia the article.
Yeah, I actually, she talked to me
That
about it.
article that article fucking sucked.
Okay.
It was a really bad article.
Yeah, no, it was just it was just sent to me by a good friend. I mean,
Okay.
the article also said that you apparently voted for Daniel Lurie, but given something you said about Daniel Lurie earlier, I don't even believe that anymore.
Oh no,
So
so I did vote for Daniel Lurie. Like I don't want to say it as Dan, but honestly, it's like I
okay,
didn't like anybody running for mayor. And the only reason I voted for him was I didn't like London Breed. Aaron Peskin was my second choice, but I also don't love a lot of stuff Aaron Peskin does, and he was from the outside, so I wanted to give him a shot. That was my honest answer on that. But yeah, I'm always willing to answer like that kind of question honestly.
I guess none of us saw the Muni cuts coming. So
No, I mean that's been the most disappointing thing for me, for the Muni cuts. Partly because it seems so impractical. Like it's not even gonna do anything about the budget deficit. It felt like virtue signaling in a way on the exact wrong kind of virtue. So that annoyed me a lot. And it's certainly not something he campaigned on.
Yeah, thank you very
all right,
much, Keiko.
Yeah. All
I'm
right.
good
Thank you
now.
very much, Kikoa. See you later.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be less violent with all of them.
Yeah, with the yeah, oh yeah, now it's not my team member, so you can
Yeah,
just
no,
do
no,
you can
no,
be
no,
nice.
no. Your people can handle it. Your people can handle it. All right. The next question is from one of the other directors here in Progressive Victory. She is cool and Aussie pilled because that's her name. Ozzy, do you want to come up on stage and ask your question?
Boo. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I gotta find it. Hey, do you like trains?
I love trains. I
He said the
mostly
Now the
thing! He
follow-up
said the
question is the
thing!
actual question. Yeah, I like trains. Uh, do you prefer the more colorful light rail options like in Seattle, or do you like the sheet metal classic metro like in NYC and like DC, Washington? Well, Washington, you know.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
Washington trains are cooler?
I mean, my honest answer is like anyone that will go fast and actually work. But I've kind of got a nostalgia for the Radley New York ones. Though these days,
Oh,
I do love. I mean, I gotta say, like, I like the light rail in San Francisco. I like the Muni lines, and I live right on
the
the end.
correct take.
Yeah, I live right on the end. I hear the gentle is just like in front of my door every day, and I've like fall asleep to that sound. So that is like a soothing sound to me. So yeah, I love the trains here.
I love it.
If your train ain't loud as fuck going screech, what are you doing?
Fun fact, Bart is so famously loud and scary that they actually used a sound from Bart in the horror game Dead Space. It's a section where you enter
I
a
can
room
believe
and
that.
it's a big vacuum of air when you enter the room in Dead Space, and they use the sound the sound of the
Bart going
wheels that we
underwater.
use. Yeah, when it goes underneath it's
Yeah,
it's very distinctive. Yeah, that's very real noise.
yeah.
So thank you
I
very much
mean,
for that.
Mm.
yeah. I will say like
Okay.
Bart is the one time I'll put on ear protection when I'm going on the train because it
Oh
gets
my
so
god,
freaking
same.
loud underwater.
I can't use my AirPods. They're not
Yeah.
sufficient.
I'll put in my
Yeah.
I'll put in my AirPods and turn on noise canceling just for Bart going underwater
I
because it
can't
is
even do
loud.
AirPods because the sound leaks in through the
Wait.
side. I have to use a full plugged one.
Okay. Wait. Now I've gotta ask. Do you think being that close to the ocean will actually make the wheels and stuff rustier and last long?
I mean, isn't it
Wow, that's
provable? Like the salt makes that happen?
yeah,
Well,
probably.
does it make it
This
louder?
I feel like y'all need
Oh.
an AMA with an SFMTA
Well,
guy for that specific question. I think
actually, yeah.
probably,
Actually,
yeah.
yeah. Because like then you got to think about the New York subway, which is also like right on the ocean because New York is like
Yeah. So,
on a bunch of islands.
something I learned, I mentioned I was like laid over at a layover in Shanghai back in 2012. I don't want to go on a big tangent, but I missed my flight and I
Oh,
was in a hotel in Shanghai and I was watching a random documentary about New York in the 1980s. And a thing I didn't know was when they were done with New York subway cars, they used to just run them off the line into the water. So there's just like a bunch of
That's
abandoned
insane. I love
New
that.
York
I
subway
love that. I
cars
love that.
in the water. That's what I don't. I was in China watching a random New York documentary about the 80s. So you may got to fact check me on this, but that's what I heard. There's
Actually,
like coral reefs built up around the like old New York abandoned subway cars in the Atlantic Ocean. So
That's so
there's
cool.
some benefits to
You
being near
know,
the water, I
actually,
guess.
given the state of those New York subways in the 80s, I wouldn't actually put it past them. They might have actually been beyond saving.
Right.
It might have been more expensive to literally melt them down than to just ship them all. That's actually crazy. It might have been cheaper to fucking melt the entire car down than to just repair the ones and get them to working order or recycle them or something. Um, oh my god! Don't even talk to me about layovers. I was in London this morning. Oh, a long day.
Holy shit. Well, thanks for making it out here after that.
I mean,
Ozzy.
I'm back. I'm back in the States. I'm back in the States.
Welcome home.
15 hours of travel. Oh my god. All right,
Ozzy, I'm taking the
bye.
hook-shaped cane and I'm yanking you off.
That's about the average interaction you'll have with a PvP. None of us are better than that. Okay, we're all at that. Yeah,
we're all sitting around that level. All right. The next question that I have, this was asked much earlier in the stream, and finally getting to it now. This comes from Drew Fishy from Florida, and I'm going to read it out as they are not a dues-paying member or a California team, or they're not from the fair state of California. FDR achieved so much with an overwhelming public mandate and gave us by far the strongest economy in the world, and it was majorly because he was willing to take a strong stand. How do you intend to break through the corporate sabotage that gets in the way of all these public projects? Like when they delay a project with corporate lawyers to drain more money. High-speed rail! We need more leaders willing to hold their ground like Mamdani was able to. He made no compromise and ran as a socialist and won the majority of the vote. How do you intend to promote yourself as a personality like so many people have won with recently?
Yeah, I think the way FDR did it, which was he went on the attack. He actually spent the first 4 years of his like the first term kind of trying to cozy up a little bit with the corporations, and the corporations like quickly turned on him, and he realized that the way for him to win what he wanted to do was to go on the attack, use his fireside speeches, and build public capital by doing stuff and trying to do stuff. And it's actually really different from how Democrats operate today. Like Democrats today think you have people always say like using political capital. I think political capital is battery, and every time you do something, you use up some of it, right? FDR was the exact opposite. He used to do things and use that as a way, even if it would fail, like he would do this bold, persistent experimentation. But by doing stuff and explaining it to the public, he would use that to build public support. And then he would be very clear about railing against, the holders of capital, the holders of, the money changers who have fled their posts, as he put them, being the ones, united against him, and he would welcome them as his enemy. And I think that's the politics we need. And it's not going to be just me. Like, I think we need a big movement of people talking about corporations like that. And, this is where, like, I sort of brought this up before, but I get a little bit worried with someone like Mamdani trying to play the inside game, because I think his power is on the outside, and I think you have to use your power where it's at. But again, all power to him. Like I want him to do I want him to succeed. But my approach in Congress certainly is, I spent 2018 trying to push the Democratic Party on a lot of stuff. Some stuff we succeeded on, but my overwhelming conclusion was the Democratic Party leadership and the establishment, they don't want to be pushed. They need to be replaced. And that's the campaign I'm running right now. And that's what I'm planning to do.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that you mentioned, like, you need people as a movement. I mean, one of the folks who I'm sure would not have missed this interview for the World Saga. He's one of our members. He's actually running your Wednesday canvas right now. He's a Super Bowl, so unfortunately he couldn't make it. But we've got. It's so nice seeing all of the other folks here who have canvassed with you. I mean, Noah down there has canvassed with you. Solaris. Let's see who else is down here. Elias has canvassed for you.
Nice.
There's about, I think, 5 or 6 people who have canvassed for you in the audience.
Thank you so much. I mean, it really is like the heart and soul of
Mm-hmm.
the campaign. I mean, it's our entire it's our advantage. Is the only way we're going to be able to win is through the mass volunteer canvassing and getting in front of voters directly, and it's working. I gotta say, I did a town hall in Glen Park on Monday, and it was the first time that most of the people who came to town hall came because someone knocked on their door or they heard from someone who had knocked on someone's door. It was like word of mouth or canvassing. So it's really making a difference.
Yeah, that's so nice to see.
I'm trying so hard to find questions. There's so many people who want to ask a question, and it's difficult to figure out what they're actually going to ask beforehand. But let's go with the one that I know. Matt, we have a New Jerseyite. Brace yourself.
Alert!
Alright.
Alert! New Jerseyite spotted.
Alert, New Jerseyite. Come up, Matt.
They don't understand the New Jersey how special New Jersey is. I can't believe it. Then all this talk about how bad New Jersey is.
Trigger warning, New Jersey. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. You're from New Jersey and you're not even Indian, dude. What are you doing? Come on.
My parents.
At least I'm Italian.
Yeah.
Well, we both have the hands thing as a result, right? Like
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You gotta have the hands.
Indians
Can I
and
ask you a
Italians,
question
we both do.
before I came?
Yeah, ask it.
Yeah. New Jersey discrimination here. But yeah, no. My question is, and I ask this to every candidate that has an AMA. What advice would you give to someone planning on running for office eventually in the future? I plan on, at least right now, I plan on running for office in the future. So this is, a really important question to me.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'd say, like, I can tell you my path. I always feel weird giving people advice because, like, I don't know all the other ways to do it. But, my path was I got involved in politics with, like, a mindset of just trying to learn. Like, when I joined the Bernie campaign, I wasn't as a lowly grunt. I was just trying to learn. I was trying to learn how to organize. I was trying to learn what campaigns are all about. And through that, try to figure out my why. For me, I came in with this question of, it feels like the economy's stuck, feels like things aren't working, feels like we're not, building a country that's supposed to be for everybody. Why is that? How can we fix that? And through that campaign, through a bunch of people I met on that campaign, and then a bunch of reading I did with those people on the campaign, I kind of started to develop some ideas. But, if you're going to run for anything, you have to really have a good, really core sense of why, and why you want to do it and what you think you can bring to it. And I'd say probably for something like more local office, right? Like probably get involved with existing nonprofits, mutual aid groups, folks working in the community right now to get a really deep understanding of not just the problems, but what people are trying already, what's working, what's not, and what can you bring to the table. I didn't come into this expecting to run for office. I didn't think I ever would run for office. And I thought my role was going to be behind the scenes, running campaigns, recruiting people. Frankly, like the reason I ended up doing it this time was I just got mad at the Democratic Party, and I didn't think anyone else was going to have the guts to challenge Pelosi, and I knew I could. So I jumped in. But there's so many ways to be a part of this movement. So I wouldn't discount that either.
Yeah, this is an organization called Progressive Victory, actually. You should think about it.
Yeah. You should donate. Everyone watching
Absolutely.
should donate. Yeah.
We can plug a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
We'll say
Actually, just got my dues. I actually just got my dues paying member card right there, right next to my shortcut for SF. Poster I did from bent over.
Right,
And the Epstein files are over there, actually.
I know that.
That's where they're hiding.
I'm gonna shill so much right
I also
now.
got mine right here.
I'm gonna
I'll shill it more later.
Nice.
Yeah.
Forgot my wallet.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All right, get out of here,
Okay,
you shill.
All right. Why did that make me laugh?
All right. I know that I just said like there was an order of people I was going to bring up for questions, but I'm getting bullied by my boss for him to come up. So Benjamin, you want to come up and say your piece? You want to come up and say your shit? Fucking hate this guy. Can you tell by the fact that we are gonna probably start a show together?
Yeah, with no total animus and hatred. Hi, thank you so much for joining us on this.
Good to meet you.
It's good to meet you too. It is really interesting. You said a moment ago that you didn't intend to run for office, that you thought you were going to be behind the scenes. like the whole time. And I kind of came into this thinking that I would run for office, and then I kind of found the love for the behind the scenes part. And that's sort of relevant to the one question I have. I came up being a very, loud TYT viewer. So the journey of Justice Democrats is something that's been very near and dear to my life that I was able to witness. And there's been a lot of successes from it and a couple key takeaways from it, I think, as well. What do you think is your biggest takeaway from the successes and failures of the Justice Democrats?
Yeah, I'd say successes. What, especially in that first cycle, I think you have to be willing to take on races that don't necessarily always make sense from the outset. I think for any sort of like an insurgency inside the Democratic Party, the numbers never make sense. Like you're never going to be able to like figure out exactly this race that I'm going to win. And um, I'd say like that AOC moment was a success. I think being able to capitalize on, like being able to be nimble and move and capitalize on these moments that appear, was a big deal. And we were able to do it with the Green New Deal, where because she won, she created this moment. We like moved quick, capitalized on that, used the Green New Deal to try to force Biden into doing Build Back Better, and that became the IRA, which isn't everything I was hoping for, but it was still the biggest investment in climate change in history. In terms of failures, I often am somebody who focuses a lot more on everything that I did wrong. So I have many things I wish I'd done differently. One is we didn't spend enough time building relationships among the candidates in that cycle, and I honestly still think that that piece of it is like the part that's lacking. So I don't see the Justice Democrats candidates in Congress really working together as a bloc to strategically use their power. And it's something that I understand, like having been in there, I understand the pressures are real. It's very difficult to do that. I mean, leadership is like barking down your throat all the time, lying to you all the time to try to get you in line. But that's one of the main things I'm trying to do different through with this campaign is I'm trying to reach out, build these relationships now, and importantly, build them around some sort of shared goal of what are we going to do on day one? What are we going to demand from Hakeem Jeffries in exchange for our vote to first speaker? Because if there's only 10 of us that get in there, that's the kind of we have to recognize what that power is, and we have to recognize like what's the realistic stuff we can get with that power. The other thing that I'd say, I wish Justice Democrats was doing a little differently today. I think we're in this huge change cycle right now, and frankly, I love Justice Democrats. I'm friends with all of them, so I don't want this to come off as like I'm bashing their work. I think they do incredible work, and they've won a lot of amazing races. But I think they're just not they're not going big enough. Like I think this is a moment to be running 50 or 100 candidates because there could be this huge cycle, and that's not their mode. Like their mode is very much we pick like 5, maybe 10 districts at most where we think we have a real shot of winning, and we go for those, which, yeah, you'll have a higher win rate, but if we're just electing 5 progressives every cycle, we're gonna get Medicare for all in 100 years, and that's to me unacceptable.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love that answer. I I think you like that's been my focus is just trying to build connections between a bunch of different candidates, and like that's been one of my big focuses. So keep your email open. I might. It's definitely some connections I'd love to help build.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you.
Actually, if I can add one,
Thank you.
one of the reasons that I reached out and I wanted to facilitate this interview was this is about building connections. We want to build connections with candidates in California. You know, I think that the Mamdani race, especially the primary, Mamdani's primary, really illustrates that when we work together, when we make those connections, when we help each other, we can get a lot more done than than we usually do. And it's not the fault of people who don't choose to do that because the system is designed to get us to eat each other in these primaries and in these races and stuff like that. But I'm really glad that you're taking the collaborative focus. I mean, for those who aren't aware, when I mention during the canvases that I'm with PV, they mention, hey, you can mention PV in the canvases. You can say like, hey, go join PV. We don't care. Go for it. This is about building a coalition. So I really appreciate that perspective from your campaign.
It's awesome.
Coalition
that's
building, effectiveness. Yippee!
I always say like it's gonna take like the stuff we're talking about doing. It's not gonna be any individual candidate who can do it. It's gonna be a massive movement, candidates of people, and it has to like we have to change the entire political environment of the country. And you know, I think that is sort of not a mistake, but I think there tends to be a tendency in a lot of candidates to become focused on your individual race and your individual candidacy and your congressional career. And I get why that people do it. I get all the pressures that cause it, and it is like a big political risk to do it a different way. But I just kind of feel like if I'm not doing that, then what's the point? I don't want to go to DC and just like have a career there. It's a really boring career to just be in DC.
Cool. All right. Our next question comes from Squid, who is a California. Not in California, a
Squid is our
California.
funniest member.
I
have to say
said
that.
it correctly, I swear, and I'm trying to find where they are in the mess of people. Squid, could you type in chat so I can find you easy? That'd be great.
I just found them. They're below my face. They're on the left.
It's aspect ratio makes it different.
Oh,
Beep,
there we
beep,
go.
there you are. All right, come on up.
The Californian, the one and only.
Actually,
Can
Squid.
everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Chakrabarti. So, I'm in university for physics, and as AI further like develops, a lot of like the tools that we end up using incorporates AI, and I guess my question is like overall, like what's your stance on AI as a collaborative tool in, the sciences versus, something more commercial like the LLMs like, ChatGPT, Cloud, all of them. And I guess like a side little question, the war powers resolution like failed like today in the House. Do you
Yeah.
think the four Dems that voted not present or didn't vote should they resign in disgrace?
I didn't realize it was 4 Democrats that voted. There's one that voted against, I saw, but I didn't see
Yeah.
who it was. That's crazy. Yes. I mean, I think they should get primaried for sure. They're not going to
Not this
resign
cycle,
in
though.
disgrace.
Can't do it this cycle
Why not?
because none of them are up for re-election.
No, these are House Dems, right?
Am I
think it was
thinking
House
about
Dem.
the wrong thing? I might be thinking about the wrong thing. Might be.
Might be thinking
Oh.
about the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because it failed by like 2 votes, which was crazy to see. But yeah, when it comes to AI, my general stance on AI is we have to figure out how to actually have sort of the benefits and the productivity from it be for people, for workers, make people's lives better. So things like what you're talking about, where you're using it for collaboration and research, absolutely the kind of stuff we need to be using AI for. Now, I think in the current like economic system we have, we can't imagine choosing AI to do some things and not other things, right? And I think that's kind of downstream from this larger question of we have no way as a society to decide how any technology enters our economy, what our economy's for. And I actually think AI is gonna like supercharge this bigger question that we have to answer, which is, do we as a country have actual goals? Does our economy have goals that are not just profit? And I think with AI, like we're basically saying, these handful of CEOs will get to determine the direction of our entire society because it could lead to just massive job loss. And, some people even say wipe out humanity altogether. Right. And that power, in my view, should not be in the hands of just a few CEOs. I think it should be the people determining that. Now, like the way you asked about like different uses of AI, like, yeah, I absolutely think we should be using LLMs for things like cancer detection, right? And like all these areas where it's actually, showing us real improvement and real productivity. Whereas I don't care about like Sora and like another AI slop feed. I don't think that's helpful at all. But like the larger thing is, what are we going to do about this huge disruption to our workforce. And like the corollary I make there is often to how automation entered the car manufacturing industry and back, when that started happening. And if you look at how it worked in Germany versus in the US, in Germany, they actually make these like 5 and 10 year industrial plans, and they have labor corporations and government who all sit on the boards of their car manufacturers. And the result of car automation and car manufacturing there was after about 10 years, German car workers made double the wages of their American counterparts. They also made more cars per capita than America, and they had more automation. So that's the kind of thing we could be doing with AI. And I I actually think there's going to be this opportunity in some ways when the bubble pops, because I think it's going to. And all of a sudden, people like Sam Altman and Elon Musk are going to be asking for a bailout from the government. And I say, instead of doing a bailout like we did during the Great Recession, we should just buy those data centers on pennies on the dollar and turn them into public, not for benefit, government owned corporations, the way OpenAI was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a nonprofit when it first started, and then start determining the trajectory of this technology rather than just letting it run wild the way it is right now.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate the response. Uh, my major overall worry is basically a lot of the entry level jobs a lot of us would get going from physics and engineering, you know, after graduating, would have these like intro level roles. A lot of the stuff is getting mechanized now. So thank you for giving me a plan. All that. I'll make sure to you know vote and canvas for you if I'm in the area.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much,
You're
Squid.
welcome. Name's
Thank you, Squid. Michael.
Okay, nice to meet you,
All
Michael.
right, all right, all right. Benjamin, are you still here? No, he's not still here. I
He's
was gonna
dead.
bully him for being a money person, but Troy a moment ago was like, "Hey, we need to take all the money from these big corporations." Well, we don't take money from big corporations here at Progressive Victory. So what we need are people like you. People like you who can come and give us the money and funding that we need to get stuff. However, if you become a dues paying member, as many people are posting in the chat, you do not come away empty handed. You get a couple things. Specifically, one of these cards. These cards are quite nice. They're the dues paying membership cards. You get them a couple months after you start paying your dues, starting at $5 a month, which makes you a cooler person, I think.
And they come in these cute little things right here.
Yeah.
And you take it and you put the card in. And actually, Ben emails them to you, or he mails them to you like personally. Like
Yeah,
he puts a little
Benjamin.
D&D
That's the
he
reason I
puts a
wanted
little
to bring him
D&D
up here.
sticker on it. It's so cute.
Benjamin mails them to people personally
Yeah.
because he's the only one
And
with a
the sticker.
printer. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
We're very professional around here.
We're very like we got the highest production levels. Ozzy's here on
From in person, and I gave it to Vosh.
It's true. All right,
Vosh
get
is
the
the
fuck out of
contact
here. Get the fuck out of
creator.
here. You
Take it out.
get
All
the
right,
fuck
all
out.
right. We got a couple more questions, yeah?
Yep, we got a
And
couple
then
more
we,
questions. All right,
got enough
Luna.
time for a few more before you get out of here?
Luna.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
You want to come up? I think you're a dues paying member, right, Luna? Or are you not? I don't remember.
Luna.
Yeah? All right, come on up.
Get in there.
You're on mobile though? That's okay.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, you
Am I
can.
live?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my
Hey.
god, fantastic. Okay, so Mr. Chakrabarti, I have a question regarding like the left in general. So assuming you win your race, what is your like general strategy or like plan for pulling both your district but also the country at large further in a progressive direction towards the left, especially in the face of rising and outright fascism, both at home here in the States and also abroad, just like around the world, fascism is on the rise globally.
Yeah. The way I campaign and the way I think to do this is not to talk about it as trying to pull the country or the city to the left, but to talk about just the solutions to the problems that we're facing. And I come at it from this place of really presenting solutions that seem like they'll solve the problems, but also pointing out how that a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, it's very popular. Like I really don't think the country at large thinks about the stuff as left or right. They really think about it in terms of the status quo is broken. I'm open to what the answer to that looks like, but we need an answer that's not just trying to keep the status quo intact. And that's why I think you got all these people who voted for Obama one cycle and then Trump and then Biden and then Trump again. And so what does that look like, right? I'm talking about Medicare for all. That polls, it's like majority support. There was recently polling from Data for Progress that's starting to show even Republicans are starting to support it at above 50% rates. Universal child care, things like building tons of housing through public financing and getting speculation out of our housing market, things like getting rid of big companies price gouging us, which somebody else brought up earlier, all the anti-corruption measures like banning congressional stock trading, banning the revolving door between Congress and the lobbying industry, getting big money out of politics, all that stuff polls at like 80 or 90% amongst Republicans even. And then when you talk about actually getting wages up for people, talking about taxing the very richest, like a wealth tax now polls like really well across the country, not just in San Francisco. And it's also, when I talk about something like building, investing in new clean industries to create a bunch of wealth for working people, nobody's against that. So I lead with the ideas and I point out continuously that people want this. Most people want this. The only people who don't want it are the politicians in power because their corporate overlords don't want it. And so it is a fight about money versus people, and the people are on your side. And so I think it's about, it's not just about hammering the ideas, it's also about how you win. So you got to win with these people powered movements where you're doing it through these massive volunteer run campaigns. You got to then go in and keep that movement going so that the corporate money is just, they have no influence. And then you got to put in the reforms to kick them out for good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Also, I just wanted to say that I found your campaign originally like 9 or 10 months ago from like a random feed or a random video in my feed, and I've been super
Nice.
excited about you since.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
All right. We might only have time for one more question. So if there was one person who I said I would read their question, we may not have time for it. I'm sorry. But I think our last one might be from Ben, Massachusetts. I'm being pinged. I don't know why. You want to come up? I'm sorry, Diogenes. I'm sorry, Diogenes.
The cycle repeats. Justice for Diogenes.
Justice for Diogenes.
This happened to me when we did the side interview. Sorry, let's go ahead.
Oh no, the stream got broke. Ben, you
Oh,
broke it.
I think I did that.
Oh.
Did I do
Oh,
that?
no, Ben.
I turned my camera on.
Jay is scrambling so hard to fix it. It's all right. Just ask your question.
Okay, all right. So I have to say, unfortunately, you are not the only congressional candidate that PV is really invested in. So this leads into my question. I know you were talking about this earlier. Hypothetically, if PV sweeps, every single one of our congressional candidates gets in. What kind of relationship do you think that all of the candidates that have a good relationship with PV could have with each other? Like, probably not on the same level as like a party, obviously, but like what kind of relationship do you think that y'all could have with each other?
That's a great question. Like, I think a lot of this, because I've been doing calls like this with candidates through the whole cycle and trying to start building these relationships. And it always starts from just like getting to know each other and getting to understand where we're coming from, what your drive is, and why you're doing this. Because, and I'm guessing you all don't back any candidates with taking corporate money, right?
Nope.
All right, great.
No, we don't take corporate money.
Good. Yeah, because then if you're a candidate who's in this trying to actually make change, then the way I'd like to build a relationship is like, hey, let's get to know each other. Let's just get on a text thread. Let's like message each other and commiserate a bit over just like the experience of running for Congress, to be honest. And then I try to talk to folks about like, hey, would you be interested in like a real plan to get stuff done on day one? And which might mean pissing off leadership, might mean pissing off Hakeem Jeffries. Like people need to be bought into a strategy like that if we're gonna do it, right? Because it's gonna mean us all getting each other's backs. And and I'm willing to take the hits because I'm in a safe blue seat. I'm not trying to build a long political career, so I don't really care if I'm the one who has to take all the hits, out front. But my experience has been like oftentimes in Congress, there are people who want to go along, but everyone's afraid to be this first mover. Everyone's afraid to like be out there by themselves, be out there hanging on a limb. So it is this collective action problem. And so, yeah, like I'd say the first step for me is reaching out, getting people to know that like we're honest people who are in this for the right reasons and that we can trust each other, and then start working on what the plan's going to be. What do we actually want to see have happen? What do we think we can get done in the first term, and get everybody excited about doing that? And then let's go freaking do it.
Yeah, me personally, I love like a little conference table of all the congressional candidates that PV backed all in the same room discussing this kind of stuff. I love shit like that.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to do that, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's different with different people. Like sometimes there's some folks who don't, feel like they don't want to say all their stuff in a big group setting, which is fine. So, like this has been my background. Like when I worked with the Justice Democrats candidates back in 2018, um, it is a lot of just one-on-one. I would just call every candidate every day, basically, just to like check in, make sure I'm understanding what they're going through. Because that's the other piece of this is like, going through a congressional cycle like this, where you're not taking corporate money, where you're often the underdog. Mentally, it's tough for a lot of these candidates, and I think starting it from a place of just us supporting each other, I think builds a lot of trust.
All right. Yeah, Ben, you did break the stream a little bit. I don't know how.
I know. I kept
Yeah.
I kept muting and unmuting. Con.
It was the muting and unmuting. Yeah, it is the muting and unmuting. I have no idea why it does that. Jay is so confused.
I'm so
well-
sorry. Whoever's Jay, I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Ben.
But
Yeah,
it's funny
thank
you
you.
mention. It's funny you mentioned other congressional candidates. We actually had one watching the stream earlier. So
Yeah, I was about to say,
in
Salam, are
Virginia.
you still here?
Oh, really? Who was
I
in
think
Virginia? Are you allowed to
Salam
call him out?
Hati. I
Salam
think.
Bati.
Okay, cool.
Like
Okay,
I'm
cool.
talking to him tomorrow.
Yeah.
I.
Nice.
Oh, wait, no, is it tomorrow? No, it's not tomorrow. I have another person tomorrow.
It's this week.
Yeah, it
some
is this
point.
week. I'm talking to Laura Jones tomorrow.
Yeah,
bring him on right. If Salam is up here.
I think Salam is not here.
No, I know he was here earlier.
They
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was here earlier. Yeah.
Well, I'll get in touch with them later. Y'all have
For
such a
sure,
cool
for
group. This was really fun. Like,
yeah, we have lots of them come in. We've talked to Abdullah Saeed, of course. We've talked to who else
Jeremy
did we
Whalen.
talk to? Yeah, Jeremy Whalen. Yeah, there's the AMA tomorrow at 4 p.m. We're talking to Salam.
Yeah, it is Salam tomorrow. It is tomorrow. Okay. All right. Well, we are officially at our hour and a half mark. We do not want. Yeah, we did talk to Katie Wilson as well.
We talked to Katie Wilson in person.
Nice.
I'm very thankful for you spending your time here with us, Saikat. It's been absolutely wonderful. I hope that you've enjoyed the PV community. I hope you've enjoyed our questions and our various banter in the chat. Our autism as well.
Not at all. This was so fun. Yeah, I really appreciate it, and these were all great questions, and y'all have made a really beautiful community. You really have.
Appreciate
Like,
it.
this is a good vibe. I don't know. Every question just came with a good vibe, so I like it. Thank you.
So I'll go ahead and say for those of us who are in California who would like to get more involved.
Go canvas for this guy.
Hi.
Go canvas he's friggin' rad.
I am the person being the California state lead. I was actually the Bay Area lead when I first started organizing this, but now I'm the California lead. I organize I don't organize the canvases, but basically Shortcuts campaign. These guys do canvassing Saturdays and Sundays. Every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays,
and Wednesdays
11 a.m. and Wednesdays now, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Wednesdays 3:30 p.m. to I believe 5 p.m. And the Wednesday canvas is actually run by one of our members, PV member Sagar, who's a great guy. The next canvas will be on January 3rd. We've done all of our canvases for this year. And so if you guys are interested in joining us to canvas, so we every day Saturdays and Sundays it's a different park in SF. It's been nice because we don't live in SF, so we've been able to go out and take a look at all the different districts of SF. It's very fun. It's a great time. SF's a great city to walk around in. It's kind of like just a fun little hike. And people there are really nice as well. A lot of people are home. It's pleasant weather, especially right now this time of year. So if you are interested in canvassing for Shortcut, go ahead and talk to me. I will. I know I'll be there on January 3rd to kick off the new year with those canvases. So we'll be doing this from now until, I presume until the general. Really, we'll be doing canvassing for the next almost a
Well,
year.
next while.
Yeah.
PV's
Yeah.
PV's behind you. PV's behind you, Saikat.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna
I'm
give
so
one
glad this
other
interview went
plug.
well.
Oh,
I
you
just
got
want to give
another
one other
plug?
plug for
All right.
people who aren't in the Bay Area. We are also doing phone banks now. So if you go to the website and sign up to volunteer at shoycut.us, if you don't live in the Bay Area, you can call in and call voters in San Francisco, and it's very helpful.
You should figure out how to get us, like, whatever you're doing, your scale to win, like some of that information, because we can also
Yes.
host phone banks in PV, and we do that quite frequently.
Oh,
so we can
nice.
just direct tons of
Can
people to
somebody
that and using our own capacity.
can
Yeah,
somebody
that'd be
send a link to his website for me? Fun fact, by the way, my laptop doesn't have enough USB ports for all of the things that I need, so I actually don't have access to my keyboard right now. Which is why I couldn't actually talk in chat.
We'll get that figured out later. But for now, we are overtime, and we need to respect it.
Yes,
this
yes,
very
yes.
busy man. So thank you again for joining. And
Yeah,
we'll,
thank you so
See you
much.
around.
I'll see you around. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much. Bye.
And become a dues paying member, everybody.
Become